Welcome to Maiden Mother Crone 333, a podcast with intentions to create a safe, sacred space of open discussion as a free resource on spiritual topics for awakened souls and a healing, helping, and guiding practice. Disclaimer: this podcast is for spiritual, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not meant to substitute medical care, psychological, financial, or legal counseling. Welcome, and thanks for joining us today. Today, we are going to cover some topics like toxic spirituality, spiritual burnout, and what was the other one? Oh, reassessing your values and belief systems, and how in this journey that all comes about. Because there are times where through your spiritual journey, you're going to feel disconnected from spirit and you're going to wonder what the hell is going on. But those times are always meant to be like growth portals for you. And I think that maybe we should just dive into it because there's so much to talk about when it comes to this, I feel like. So I don't know who wants to start. We didn't plan that part about just where you started. How many times has this happened for you, being disconnected? And then like, where do you think it has led you and how has it changed your belief systems?
That's a lot.
Kari, do you want to talk about your disconnection at times?
Well, my most recent disconnection was the most intense. I have definitely gone through periods of disconnect before, but they seemed so short, maybe like a week at most. And this has been months. And I now understand why all of it happened. Do you want me to just jump into all of that or just give you little bits and pieces at first? I don't know.
No, girl, just talk and help and I
Okay.
jump in.
Okay. So in the past, my disconnects were always just very short, and Spirit would actually tell me that they were like disconnecting from me almost. I would be asking them all these questions, and they would just be like, "You have the answers." Like they would, still talk to me, but they would be like, "Look within, blah, blah, blah." And this time, I guess it was different because I think I shut them out. They didn't shut me out, I shut them out. So there was no go within and you can find the answers. It was me screaming at Spirit and crying and, you let me down. I don't trust you anymore. I don't want to talk to you. Like it was a whole toddler tantrum moment for real. And then I started to come around and recognize like it was me. Like I was the problem, I had created this codependent relationship with Spirit. That is the best way to explain it. Where this entire time I was building this like system of connection and trust, but it was really between me and Spirit. There was never a point where I was trusting me and listening solely to my intuition. I relied on them, constantly external guidance to get me where I needed to go. And it was very toxic, honestly, because they were then living my life for me rather than me being here, having this human experience and having free will and doing the things that I'm supposed to do. I was constantly like, what do I do next in my business? What do I do with this relationship? Like, nothing was guided by me, which was, yeah. So I had a big moment of where I felt like I was majorly let down in many aspects of my life. And so I shut them out because I was like, you didn't deliver. These were the things I asked you to do for me and you didn't do them, which is really mean actually. I recognize all of that now. So now I guess I'm rebuilding with Spirit. I have reconnected with them, but in a very different manner. I still really don't know what it looks like overall. I don't know where this is going to lead me, but I'm 100% more connected to myself. I listen to my intuition. I still meditate. I do not talk to spirit daily like I used to. Sometimes I don't even know if I talk to them weekly anymore. I still practice my gratitude. I still talk to God, but that's my own personal, everyone is different. But as far as like my guides, guardians, ancestors, I'm not reaching out to them for guidance like I used to. I'm asking myself for guidance and just allowing myself to kind of flow where it feels right. And it's very interesting now that I have disconnected in a way, how things are aligning. And I still don't know if that's because I've disconnected from the outcome, so the universe is bringing it to me, or if it has to do with the fact that I'm truly following my guide, like my internal compass, and
Mhm.
flowing where it really actually feels right versus listening to spirit and doing what they want me to do. So it's a very, I don't have the answers still, but this is where I am right now.
I still feel like they guide you though, because, like that little intuitive voice that we have inside of us, or that little nudge that we get from time to time. I still feel like that's our intuition, that's our higher self, that's still spirit coming through, but you're trusting yourself more. They, like we were talking about, how they give us the tools to do this, but it's like you're spreading your wings just a little bit further and you're trusting you and your inner voice and inner compass. So that's beautiful.
Well, and I feel like the magic is coming back. If you remember, like when you first started your journey and everything seemed so magical, and I had gotten to a place where it didn't feel like that anymore. And now that I don't talk to them constantly, they're always like sending me like little signs and, like in songs and numbers. And it's starting to feel
Mhm.
magical again. Like, I don't know.
So I feel like Kari and I have always been on parallel paths. And it's really interesting because we live entirely separate, different lives, but we experience the same lessons at the same time. And we always have each other to bounce these things off of. But talking about disconnection from spirit through my spiritual journey, um, I was always connecting every day, meditating, getting guidance from my spirit guides, and there were times throughout the years that they would like shut me off. Like Kari said, they would pull back and say, like, nope, we're not helping you right now because you need to figure this out on your own. And I would get so frustrated. I'd be like, I talk disrespectfully to spirit sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, because I am like a toddler. I'm like, that's bullshit. Your job is to help me. Like, that's what you're supposed to be doing here. So I would get like upset about it. Um, and it usually was for my own good, because you do need to tune into yourself. And that's kind of what they've been teaching us this entire time, to give us the tools. And I feel like that's where a lot of spirituality gets toxic,
Mhm.
because we are constantly, consistently giving our power away. We're asking for guidance. We're asking universe to do things. We're trying to manifest things, but you have to detach yourself or else spirit won't give it to you. Like, that's a toxic ass relationship. Um, you really, it, it, it blows my mind, because it's like, so many things are supposed to make your life better. The spiritual connection is supposed to make your life better. You get spirit guides to help guide you, because it's hard to be a human. But it's also like everything that is taught to you. And I went through like, fellowship, spirit school. I had like a mentor, but there's also just things that you're teaching yourself and learning yourself. And you go through the process of like, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Some things will resonate with you in that time. And you're like, that feels like truth in my soul. So I'm going to follow that. And it only lasts for so long, because it's like you only get the little bits and pieces that you can handle at the time. At the time, I felt like that was resonating with me. This asking spirit for help all of the time, or reading my tarot cards every day, to get a heads up or something like that. And then at some point, it doesn't resonate anymore. And you have to say, oh, okay, this doesn't feel true for me anymore. Where do I go from here? How do I change my spirituality or change the way that I believe in things, my core beliefs, to make it align with what feels right for me? And that question is not always clear. Like the answer isn't always there. And you say, Spirit, what's the answer? And they're like, figure it out. It's your
Mhm.
free will. But for me, I feel like so many things lead to this relationship, like Kari was talking about, the codependency with spirit, like the delusional thinking that people encourage. I'm not mentioning names or anything, but there's a lot of like spiritual gurus that are like, be delusional. It will change your energy and it will change your life. And I love being delusional. It's so fun. It makes life more enjoyable. But there's a point in time where you're going to get slapped in the face fucking hard with reality and be like, oh, I can't be delusional anymore because real life is right fucking there. And it, like, that happened to me recently. It destroyed me and it destroyed this like trust relationship that I had built with spirit, kind of like Kari was talking about. I felt absolutely betrayed because I was living in that delusion so much, and trying to figure out how this moves forward. This last time of disconnection, like Kari said, for me was I chose it and I said, I'm fucking done. I'm not talking to you anymore. I don't want anything to do with you right now. And I just felt betrayed. And so one of the most important things to have is trust with spirit. And spirit meaning your own soul, like Hope was talking about. It's your higher self, it's your soul. The most important thing that you can have is trust in yourself, is belief that the information that you're getting is true. So having that trust destroyed and betrayed was very difficult for me. And I had to go back and reassess like almost all of my belief systems that my spirituality has been built upon. And it leads me back to this, yes, I actually have to trust my highest self and receive those messages when they come in from my highest self. Um, because you can say whether you want to receive those messages or not. I was putting up a block and saying, you're telling me something I don't want to hear, so I don't receive that, and try to make it different in my head. So yeah, I had to humble myself after I threw this big fit, kind of like Kari said, I'm a toddler. I talk to spirit so disrespectfully sometimes. But I'm just like, fuck you, fuck everybody. I'm never talking to you again. I hate you. Don't come to me for anything. Like, oh God. But then I had to humble myself and be like, you know what? You did try to tell me and I did not accept it. So it was partially my fault for having that codependent relationship, expecting them to do things that they're not capable of doing. And I feel like I'm going to talk forever because that's another part of the toxic spirituality is people say, if you believe it, if you change the energy, if you manifest it, if you do this, like you're expected to really change and create a different life for yourself. You're giving spirit all of that power over your life. And you're saying, if I just believe in enough, spirit will give it to me. No, the point is to be a human. You create that, you make it happen. You have free will. You make the decisions that lead to the things that bring that into your life. There's no magical being wizard in spirit form who's going to wave his wand and be like, oh, she finally disconnected. She finally believed it. Abracadabra, here you go, honey. Like, that's kind of, I feel like, what people lead us to believe in the spiritual realm. So it is really taking absolute control over your own life and acceptance that you are the one who has the answers, and only using spiritual guidance like when it is absolutely necessary. But like Hope said, they will reach out to you and let you know like some things here and there. And I feel like that's how it's supposed to be used, and less like constantly giving control to the universe, saying, go flow with the universe, let the universe flow you like down the river, kind of a thing, is like giving all of the power away. No, hell no. I'm gonna forge, and I'm a Taurus, so I'm hard headed. I know sometimes that I I'm not I'm in control. I want to be in control. But I feel like that's where we're at, is giving our power away. It's toxic. So reevaluating your beliefs and what am I doing am I holding my own power, or am I giving it away, not realizing that I'm giving it away and letting outside forces control my life? There's a difference between like faith and free will, you know? Sorry, I just talked forever.
You're fine.
Totally.
You're good. This is good. People need to hear this. So,
What about you, Hope? Have you had times where you've been disconnected, and how frustrating was that for you?
I've really been trying to reflect on that as you and Kari have been talking and sharing. Um, there are times I'm disconnected, but not in the same way. I sometimes don't reach out to spirit enough. I sometimes don't ask for enough guidance and intervention. Um, I don't ask for help a lot. I do a lot of things on my own. I figure it out because I figure this is just part of those rough life lessons that I have to figure out. So I forget to reach out to spirit. I forget to reach out to the guides. I forget, so the times that I'm feeling disconnected, it's because I'm not making a connection with them. And it's really not a fault. It's just I'm like, oh, that's right. They're here to help me. They're here to look out for me and give me guidance and support. So why am I not reaching out more? Why am I not asking? That's like a whole nother topic though, because I get in my head, I don't listen to myself. It's a whole trust thing, and I totally trust them. But yeah, but I feel like some of my disconnect comes from because I don't engage enough with them. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little bit different. And I try to just really trust the intuition. I try to really connect with my higher self. Um, I do a lot based on my emotions and feelings. So definitely taking those clairs and pulling them in. If something doesn't feel right, I'm just like, okay, to me, that's like, all right, spirit's telling me that this isn't probably the best way to go because, I'm not really feeling great about it. Or if something feels really good, being grateful for that moment. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how to put it into words, but yeah, I definitely don't reach out enough. But again, I have had a moment the last couple weeks upon my move where I've been like, all right, divine intervention, please come in, take over, take the wheel, because I can't figure this out. But there are times like where my anxiety is ramped up. And those are the times that I, definitely call in my guides for help because, sometimes I can't get out of my own way with that. And especially at night when everything seems to sneak up. But yeah, so I guess if I'm feeling disconnected, it's because I don't feel like I'm doing enough to connect. I'm not doing enough to ask for help, or I don't know. I don't know. It's weird because I think about it and I'm like, my spirit guide, I'm like, I don't talk to him sometimes. Well, like every day I'll ask for my highest and best. I'm like, all right, this is so funny. I'm like, God, spirit, great mother, Jesus, bring my highest and best and what's best for me today. So I'm always throwing Frank in there somewhere, my spirit guide. But I don't always just like sit and talk to him. And I try, like in the car, and it feels weird though. I'll be like, all right, Frank, how's it going today? And then I'm like, all right, I'm trying to listen for his voice. So I don't know. Sometimes it feels kind of foreign to me, even though I've been doing this for so many years. I don't know. I don't know if I really answered your question, Roxanne.
No, I think you did. And
But,
again, going back to that trust being the pillar, I feel like that spirituality is built upon. And as you go through periods of your spirituality changing, um, it doesn't mean that you can't trust it. It doesn't mean that you can't trust yourself. You're going to have times where, like I said, Kari and I just recently have been through a period where we felt like we were betrayed, like our trust was broken with spirit. Um, but it doesn't mean you can't trust them. It doesn't mean that you've been betrayed. It just means that you need to reassess, where are my beliefs at, and how have they changed, because there's something there that isn't working for you anymore, and it's totally normal
mhm,
to reassess those things as you move forward, because it really is like peeling the layers off the onion of your spirituality,
mhm,
in your spiritual practice. If you took me back 5 years to like what my beliefs were before I started my spiritual practice, and then like a year after my spiritual practice, I am now leagues and bounds from where I was before. And my beliefs have changed so much over the course of the years. But you have to consistently reevaluate those things. What do I believe in? How is this working for me? And be open to change and letting it evolve, because it is going to evolve. And there are periods of disconnect from spirit where I feel like we have our human lives, we have our spiritual lives, and we're always trying to bring those two together in a bubble. And you should be, because we are souls having a human experience. You need to be tapped in, tuned in.
Yep.
But there's like times where the spiritual kind of pulls apart for me, and I'm left to be a human, and I'm like, raw dog in life, and it sucks. This sucks. Like, what happened to my spiritual bubble that made me feel so cozy and warm? you know so it's like it disconnects, and I feel like it's a natural part of the spiritual journey. When that happens, it's going to happen to everyone I know has been through part of these processes, and it's not that you lost anything, and you're not going to pick it back up again, but sometimes you just have to be a human and reassess what you're going through in your human world, and then you can bring your spirituality back into it and say, how do I make sure that my spirituality is supporting me as a human, rather than just blindly having faith, because trust is important, but you have to trust that you're making the right decisions when you change your belief systems, and that you're learning these lessons and you're changing your belief systems because it's leading you to be able to be better as a human, and to have a better life, because that's what we all want, is to have that better life. And again, I feel like I'm just rambling here, but within the time span that I've been on my spiritual journey, my biggest want and desire was to go through the healing process and to have peace in my life. And I reached peace a while ago, but I'm like, there's still something missing. What is it? It's that joy and fulfillment. It's like, I can be at peace, but am I actually like having a fulfilling experience as a human now? So it really has changed over time. And I'm still like, Kari, this disconnect that I've had with spirit recently, like I quit reading. I haven't been reading for people. I've had spirit try to reach out to me, and I'm just like, no, not right now. No, thanks. Like I'm really tuning into myself and being in my higher self, situation right now. So that's where I'm at. And I'm trying to figure out how my beliefs have changed, because they have changed, but what does that look like moving forward for me? How do I continue to use spirit to supplement my human life? And what are my beliefs?
I think
Well,
that's a good lesson though, because it's all about balance. It's that happy balance with anything in life that we have to do, incorporating spirit and our spirituality, but also, living the human side of things. And so many people I feel like can disassociate from life in general and just live in that bubble. Like being with my sister-in-law every day and learning some of the stuff about the priestesses and then like the divine feminine, it's like I could totally be wrapped up in this world all the time. It's like losing yourself in a fictional book all the time. Like I live in so many alternate realities. I just like it so much better there. But then you have to remember to come back though, because you have to, I always call it adulting. I have to adult today. And that's really, that's difficult for some people to do because they get so caught up in the bliss of what it is to be in that spiritual world, where things are just a little bit like I'm looking at roses right now, where they're just a little bit more rosy. So I think that's a good point, Roxanne, is really like finding that balance between your spiritual life and your adult life, and your waking life, and how can you bridge those and make it work on all levels. It's a lot because like you say, like we all say, we are a soul having a human experience, and sometimes it's kind of shitty. But so how can we bridge that? Kira, you look like you wanted to jump in and I just was like blah, 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 blah.
you're totally fine. All I was going to say was that it's also funny because I truly believe that my entire life, spirit has been interfering and pushing me and guiding me in certain directions. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And I really think that they made this happen for a reason. Like, I truly believe that they were like, well, she's going to be mad. She's going to yell at me, but I can handle it. And that they
Mhm.
wanted me to learn this lesson. They wanted me to trust myself. This was part of my growth, to trust myself, but also reflecting on what did occur and why I was so angry with them, I can recognize that they were protecting me. It could have been 1,000 times worse, and they were protecting me. They did exactly what they were supposed to do to interfere and protect me enough where I could still learn my lesson and not, and it wasn't catastrophic, you know, it felt catastrophic, but it wasn't. And so I think that that's really interesting because I can now kind of reflect on that and recognize that I feel like that they had a hand in all of it and that they were like, we're going to blow her world up, but like, I hope she realizes we're protecting her and this is for her best. Like, she always asks for
Mhm.
her highest and best. Like, here it is, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but maybe that's just I'm a very optimistic person and I've
No,
been
you're
delusional my
right.
whole life.
No, you are totally right. And I actually had somebody a couple weeks ago, a friend say something. A long story short, I was like, you're asking for your highest and best. And they were like, yeah. I'm like, so what do you think is going to happen? These people and this path isn't for your highest and best. And I'm like, I told you from the beginning, you start this mediumship, you start these classes, you start this soul work, you start all this, your awakening. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, and it's the shadows. And I said, they're showing you what's not working for you. It's just she's fighting so much against it. But I'm like, you ask for your highest and best every day when you wake up in the morning. What do you think is going to happen? It's like, I'm like, I can't make that it. So no, you were totally right. It's not being optimistic. Well, it kind of is, and I love that. But it's like literally you ask for your highest and best every day. So they're like, all right, girlfriend, here you go. You may not see it, but we totally see it for you,
Hmm.
you know?
1,000%. Like, I get it, Kari, because then you have to come back and be humble. Like after
Yeah.
you yell in spirit, I truly had to humble myself to them and just be like, I get it now. Hindsight is 2020. In the moment, your emotions take over. And I'm like, I am sorry, but I am only human. And I feel so much. Like clairsentience is one of my biggest clairs. So I feel that energy. And when I feel it and I let it course through my body, like I get so worked up about things. And when I have to humble myself to spirit, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm only human. Like, I'm trying my best. I understand. Like, I get it now. But seriously, could you have done it in like an easier way?
Hmm.
I appreciate it. All of that. So I get it. And one of the things that has happened for me is on my spiritual journey, it stopped becoming about me because I felt like I had reached that level of peace. And I had started really surrounding my family and saying, I want my family to be in this bubble of with me. And so, ooh, that was a bag of worms because my family affects my life. And so, like, it wasn't personally me who was going through the deep, dark stuff. It was my family that we have a little tripod, me, my partner, and my daughter. And it was like, first it was him and his life blew up, but it blew up our lives because we are very connected to him. And he had to go through like this couple years of this healing period that was rough. Because I was saying, I want my family to be thriving. And they're like, you want to thrive? You got to really start healing all of this stuff. And so I feel like that's what's been happening for us. And when I'm saying like it's not about me, it's about my family. And so we have been put through the paces. And now it's like my daughter going through stuff and not my partner. And so it's like each one of us is healing our pieces separately and opening up to the thriving energy in a different way. But to be put through that healing process and trying to tap into your inner power. And they're not necessarily, well, my daughter is, but she's on a spiritual journey, but my partner is very reluctantly being dragged along through this. He's like, what? No, you know, but he's on a healing journey, whether he wants to admit it or not. So, just everything that goes on with them affects my life in such a way. And spirit is like, you asked for this. They asked for this in their own way, whether, they didn't specifically say the same things that I did, but they want us to also be in that energy and in that thriving portal. So I'm seeing how the things that I've asked for, the things that I wanted are coming to fruition. But it's the tower moment when people talk about it in, shit's gonna fall apart and you're gonna fall apart and you're gonna tell spirit, fuck you. This is not what I asked for. This is not what I wanted. And then you realize, oh, okay. Like once it starts to rebuild a little bit, and you're like, okay, I can see where this is going now. And it's regaining that faith, but you have to keep faith. And I do not have blind faith. When I can't see it, like Kari, I'm a toddler. I'm like, nope, I'm out. I don't have blind faith. But once it starts to rebuild and I can see it, I'm like, okay, all right, we're back on track here, spirit.
Sitting here listening to you, I'm like, I did have a moment last week. You were so right about that. I had a moment last week where I was like, Spirit, why are you doing this? Like, I've had some stuff come up, and especially walking like the divine feminine path and really learning more about it. I had a moment last week where I was like, I am a good person. I follow the rules. I do everything by the book. I am not one of those people that is a rule breaker. I am a good girl. I'm a good person, a human, a good soul. I'm like, why? I was like mad. I was like, why are you bringing this to my path? Why are you bringing this to me? And when you were talking, Roxanne, I'm like, oh my God, I did have a moment last week where it wasn't the disconnect, but it was like, what the fudge, man? So when I sat and actually reflected on it, you're right. There is a reason for it. There is a reason it happened. And you said the key word, Roxanne, that triggered this for me. You asked for it. And I'm like, oh my God, I did. And when I meditated on it to get the answer, because I was so upset, I'm like, I asked for this. I asked to walk the divine feminine path. I asked to be awakened. I asked for this journey to this, to be the better version of myself in this lifetime and what that means. And I'm like, son of a bug. I asked for this, and I love how you said that because it's true because we ask, but sometimes I don't know if we understand what we're asking for or how this is going to come into play spiritually and what this looks like in the, grand scheme of things, but it is good to take a step back to reflect on it and be like, why? Why is this happening? And for them to like literally say to me, because you asked for it, I was like, oh my God. I'm like,
That's not what I
oh,
meant.
okay.
I wanted it to be roses and sunshine.
Right. Yeah.
you
But
know?
it's not. It's not. And the shadows, like I mentioned that before, our shadows will come into play. And you will also, for everyone listening to this, you will meet people that will trigger this journey, that will also mirror back to you these shadows that you have to work on. And, the important thing is to know that you've done nothing wrong. No one has done anything wrong. It's not like we've made a wrong choice or a wrong decision or took the wrong path because it's all free will. It's where we are. So people have to remember also to give themselves grace and be like, okay, I can do this, and just not lose the reins, you know?
Well, it's so funny because you know how, like, if we'll get messages for other people or whatever, and a lot of times, like, we don't listen to them. And I had recorded a video on TikTok like a little while ago, and that was the message. It was about how I went to bed, and before I went to bed, I asked to wake up in my highest and best timeline. And I woke up and my world imploded. And I was like, we view that as unanswered prayers when in reality, we were handed exactly what we wanted. Like, be
Yeah.
careful what you ask for. And Michelle said that to us a million and 10 times. Be
Yeah.
careful what you ask for. And it never clicked. It didn't make sense to me. I get it now. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you see things differently the further you go on your journey. Like, I don't know, things that we've always said, like you said, Hope, when you first started and people said, I'm a soul having a human experience. Now it means something totally different to you than it did then. And I think that that's just what we were talking about, this reevaluation of our belief systems. How has it changed? What does it look like now? What I believed then about asking spirit for help and what I believe now about asking spirit for help are two totally different things. I know more what I'm asking for now rather than just like the everyday being like, help me make my life better, kind of a thing. Now I know that I'm the one who is driving the bus, and we are supposed to be the ones who are driving the bus, making all of the decisions. And like Kari said, you didn't realize it before you started this journey. You were driving the bus, and Spirit was putting roadblocks for you in places that weren't meant for you. So that's kind of where we're meant to be. But I feel like when you jump into spirituality, when you're first beginning, like Hope said, it's an entirely different world. It's like getting caught up in a book that you're reading. And it's so like, I'm just involved in this and it feels so good. And it's like this made up piece of life that you just want to spend all your time here. And you can't. There is a time where you have to come back and you have to be the human driving the bus, and let Spirit just kind of, if they're going to roadblock you there and redirect you this way. But you maintain control. You're not consistently asking, Spirit, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Don't give your power away. You are the one who is in control, who is meant to be in control. Trust yourself, trust your intuition, even when it's hard. Like, I do not like to swallow bad news. I don't want to fucking hear it. And I've told Spirit a million times, like, if there's something that's happening that I cannot control, I don't want to know about it. And I asked for that. And when I said, Spirit, tell me what's going to happen, and they were like, well, they don't want to tell me because they're listening to what I asked for. And they try to tell me, and I'm like, nope, don't want to hear that. So I just tuned it out anyways, It's just really interesting. You have to be you're the one who's in control. So you have to really put your faith and your trust in yourself. Be careful what you're asking for and set those boundaries. And it's totally okay to set boundaries. I feel like I want to talk a little bit about spiritual burnout, because once you are in this la la land that we've been talking about, like the spirituality, it feels so fucking good. Oh, I love it. Feels so good when you're in that headspace, and you can carry on in that headspace for a long time. But there is a point, I feel like, where that's part of what this disconnection is about, where Spirit backs up, or you even take a break from Spirit, because there is a burnout period that happens where it's like you can't live in that all the time. It's just not feasible being a human, having your adult life, doing adulting things, trying to be physically connected with our world and being in that spiritual spot. So I feel like the spiritual burnout that tends to happen, and what we've been talking about, reevaluating our belief systems and toxic spirituality, it's when spiritual burnout happens, that's like the crumbling, where you can start to see how things aren't naturally aligned anymore, that you can't be in this delusion mindset, that you can't believe in manifestation, that you can't believe in shug, like people call it Gus, God, universe, spirit, or Shug, spirit, universe, God. I'm always like, hey, Shug. Like, hey, it's me, Shug. What's up? But so it's like reassessing all of that stuff. And burnout, like, you don't want to meditate. You don't want to talk to spirit. You don't want to do anything. You're just like, I have spent days just like crocheting, enjoying the physical creation of crocheting, or watching stupid reality shows, on TV, and just being with my family and disconnecting on purpose from spirituality, because it becomes such a different world to live in, and it's not real. So it's like a period of burnout that you go through. Just like, it's really rough right now, because I feel like the universe, like everyone, collective energy is burned out on being human, because human life is shit right now. But we're also, a lot of people I know are going through a spiritual burnout, where they are disconnecting from spirit and reevaluating their belief systems and changing it and switching it, because it's not and we've talked about it a million times, it's not the love and light version, because it's hard work. But it is that being more in control of ourselves, and less letting universe be in control, quit giving our power away, personally, spiritually. But also I feel like we're heading as a collective to not give our power away as people to the universe. because of everything that is happening in the world, we are waiting for somebody to come and save us. Nobody is coming to save us. Universe isn't coming to save us. Heaven angels are not coming down and removing the bad people from earth to save us. Like, we are driving the bus. And I feel like that's where we're collectively we're being led. But I just, that was like guided collective message or something. So anyways, all right, I will stop.
I feel like my burnout is a little bit different. I totally can see that, and I see that with a lot of people around me, that happening to them. Um, my burnout, I've had different times of burnout, but not because like it's been to that degree. So for other people that are experiencing it differently, like my burnout has been because I like do get so wrapped up in the world, like we're talking about, that it's like I get so overwhelmed and exhausted mentally because I'm like, I'm trying to be an adult and I'm trying to be a teacher and I'm trying to do my job and I'm trying to take care of my kids and my family and the animals and, do all those mundane things that we have to do as a human. Plus, I'm reading all of this stuff and learning all of this stuff. And there are just some days where I literally just have to unplug myself because my burnout is I can't do anything more with what I have. So yeah, so I definitely have experienced the burnout, but just a little bit differently to where I felt like that the other night where I didn't want to read anything because like I've been reading about astrology and I've been reading a soul contracts book by Carolyn, I think it's Miss, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I've been reading that because I've been drawn to that, but then I went down to a deep dive of the divine feminine, and finally the other night I laid down in bed and I went, I can't. I literally disconnect and I'll shut everything off because I'm like, I cannot take one more thing into my mind right now. And I just get like kind of emotionally and mentally exhausted from it. But yeah, the burnout is definitely real because when you're trying to balance a spiritual life plus balance our adult life and everything that goes along with it, it's a lot. And the universe, you're right, Roxanne, talking about the universe and everything that's happening and trying to send love and healing and holding love and healing for people and doing all that. It gets to be a lot sometimes. So sometimes you do for your own sanity. Sometimes you just literally have to unplug and disconnect a little bit. Or I like to like just turn the switch off and be like, all right, I know you guys are there. I know you're looking out for me. Love y'all, but doop. I'm just like I'm tapped out. I'm turning my light off for the night because it can be a lot. So, and people can experience the burnout phase differently. Kari, how do you experience it?
I would say it's similar to how you experience it because I feel like, well, I'm a Pisces, so I have a hard time being grounded to begin with. I'm always off in la la land and I will stay there, like I love to daydream and that is my happy place.
Yep.
But I love to learn. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want all the information, and so I'll just like dive into all of these different things, and then all of a sudden I just realize like my energy is scattered all over the place and I can't like it feels messy and unorganized and overwhelming, and then all at once I'm just like, this is too much, and then I just like need to pull back because I'm like, I need my energy, like try to bring everything back to me, because sometimes I have to analyze too, why am I doing all of this? Like, why do I want to learn so much? Like, why am I focusing on this and this and this and this? And I don't know. Like, yeah, sometimes I'm just not really sure if I, yeah, sometimes I'm not sure if I'm trying to learn everything for me or if I'm trying to learn everything so I can help people. And that's typically where it is. I want
Mm-hmm.
all the information so that I can help more people and
Yep.
reach more people and do this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, stop. Like, focus on you. Like, what do you need in
Mm-hmm.
this moment? Take a breath, get it together. So yeah, I feel like my burnout is just because I'm trying to do too much, trying to learn too much,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
I
and I
agree.
get detached from being a
Mm-hmm.
human. It's easy for me to do that.
I totally feel that. Yeah.
I think there's a difference though. And you'll know it because like there's a difference just from disconnecting with spirit and then there's burnout.
Yeah.
Um, and while you're in burnout, you do disconnect from spirit. So it's a different experience though, because when I when I just experienced disconnection from spirit, like I'm still have the desire to tap in, to tune in, to see, am I in alignment? Am I in flow with, where I'm driving my bus into the universe, and I'm still using my other tools. I'm just not necessarily connecting with my spirit guides all the time or getting psychic information or whatever it is. I'm still tuned in. I'm still going through my life and using like the basic tools spiritually. But when you hit the spiritual burnout, I feel like in that phase, it really is like I cannot handle anything else right now. Like, I just need to lay here and stare at the ceiling. I don't even want a human. I don't want a spiritual. I don't want to do anything. So it is allowing yourself, giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to take that break. And there is nothing wrong with you. I feel like that is really important to say, because when I started my journey and going through it, whenever I would have a disconnect from spirit, I thought there was something wrong. I was like, I'm doing something wrong. Spirit doesn't want to talk to me. Did I make them upset or whatever? And you learn as you go through. Like, it just happens. It's meant to happen to keep you really be the one driving the bus. And so I feel like spirit sets boundaries too. And we don't talk about that. We set boundaries with spirit and we talk about how important it is. Spirit sets boundaries with us. If they think you're relying on them too much, you will get disconnected and have to look internally and have to use your tools. And that's not a bad thing. It's not like you've been naughty. It's just a reminder of, hey, you're driving this bus, not us. And you need to be reminded of that, because you don't want to give too much of your power away. And I am guilty of it. I am guilty of giving too much of my power away. And I do need to be reminded to get back in the driver's seat and stop giving it away. And if you hit a spiritual burnout spot, that's part of your growth. That is part of your growth. And when you think everything I've believed is no longer true, what path have I been on for these years? Did I just waste my fucking life? And am I this crazy, version of spiritualness that I see other people ascending to? Like, I never wanted to be that. But that's part of the journey. That's part of the growth. That means that you are doing it and you're doing it correctly. So when it comes time that happens to you, just know that it is normal. Take your break and slowly, I feel like in these times when spiritual burnout happens, for me, it's like cutting off everything, truly. In that time, I just slowly kind of have to go back to the very, very, very beginning, the very, very, very basics of connecting with myself, connecting with Mother Earth, tuning in to the energy, and kind of leaving it at that and allowing it to be what it is. And slowly, as we progress, it will reintroduce itself to us in ways that we can handle, again, the smaller pieces, so that we can evaluate our belief systems in those small chunks and see where we stand with them. And that's a period of time that happens. That's not a day. It could be, like Kari and I said, months. It's been months that we have been going through this, and it's totally normal.
I got an important thing to jump in here and say, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. That's what you were talking about. I'm like, okay, gotta go back to it. It's important to know that too, like when you were talking about that nothing's wrong, you're not doing anything wrong. People need to understand that we live in such a conditioned society and everything is wrong or right. And it's like, but it really isn't. You know what I mean? Like who like put that in place that this is wrong or this is right or this isn't okay or this is that or blah 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 whatever, and it's important to know that when you're going through something and feeling it, feel the feels, feel the emotions, just go with it. It's not wrong, it's not right, it's just where you are at the moment. But our society is telling us this feeling is bad, this emotion is bad, this is okay, this is, you need to feel this way. We always have our society or someone telling us like how it has to be done. But it's like, who wrote this manuscript on life and who is the expert here? Because I really think that we're the expert of our own lives and who we are and what our calling is. And as soon as you start tapping into that, that's also where that trust comes in. So it's not being right or wrong. It's just being like, I'm in this moment right now. This is what is happening to me. And it's okay. It doesn't have to have a label. I hate labels, you know? So I just thought that was really important.
I hate feelings. I hate them. I don't want to
They're
feel.
hard.
That's one of the lessons Spirit has worked with me on for so long. Like, gotta feel those feelings. And I'm like, no, but I just want to process them. Like, I'll talk
Yeah.
about them, but I don't want to feel them. Like I'll analyze them to death. Why would I feel like this? How did this come about? But to actually feel them in my body, I don't want to feel them. And
Mhm.
I want to process them in my brain and not actually feel them in my body. And that's where, like, you jump into, we talk about all the other healing tools that we have. The somatic stuff is, where do you store that stuff in your body? Because I have tons of it stored because I don't want to feel it. But
And we need to release that.
yeah, it's rough. This feelings, phew, no thanks.
I feel like this totally doesn't apply to where we are in the conversation, but it is in my head like that I have to say this. Um it's funny reflecting on how everything has came together, because there was a point in my spiritual journey when I was being guided to let go of control and to give more control to spirit, because I, as a human, was trying to control my path. So at that point in my journey, it really was learning how to trust spirit and to give, like, to release that control. And that was because your humanness, like your ego, isn't what needs to be driving the bus. And so I had to go through all these phases of
Mhm.
release control, build trust with spirit, and then the breakdown of spirit can't actually have your power. Trust yourself, listen to your intuition, allow your intuition to drive the bus. Like, it is a whole sort of, like, thing, and I feel like that's necessary to explain, because I don't know where everyone is in their journey here, um because it really is just a long process. I don't know.
That's such a good point. I love that you brought that up. That is such a good point, because I remember having a hard time. I'm very controlling as well. Like, I'm a Taurus and I need to have a list, a breakdown, like step by step, and nothing is going to change this step. You got to do the step. You can't not do the step. So I want an itinerary. But spirit is like, they did the same thing with me. They're like, you cannot control your life. You have to give up control. And we talk about letting universe flow you. And how I was saying that is part of toxic spirituality, because it is, in a sense, if you're like, I'm just gonna let everything flow the way that it's supposed to flow and bob around and just expect universe to give me, rather than you making the plans. But like you said, it is a journey of breaking that down, because yes, you have to trust spirit to guide you, but you're also letting intuition drive the bus. And like you said, not, I don't know if it's, if it is the ego, it might be the ego. But it is that breakdown of having the balance of trusting spirit to guide you, understanding how and why they put up those roadblocks, and how they can steer you, like, you're driving the bus, but they're going to steer the bus into like this other realm for you to have more options open. That's such a good point. I love that.
You keep talking about this bus that we're driving. And the child in me wants to be like, well, guess what? I can get off that bus anytime I want. That I might be driving the bus, but damn it, I can get off anytime I want to get off the bus. So I think that's also an important point, that even though you're driving this bus, you can choose to get off at whatever stop you want to get off.
And
That's
that's
where
the
that
spiritual
free will
burnout,
comes in,
though.
Huh?
That's the spiritual burnout part. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
get off the bus and you
Yeah.
can just do nothing for a while.
And
And
that's okay. You're
yeah,
allowed to do
ready,
that.
go back on.
Yeah, every time you mention about the bus, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, but what if I want to get off the bus?
I picture a school bus, but I also want it to look like I don't know, a 1960s school bus that was revamped to go to Woodstock. Like, that's my
Okay.
bus that I'm
Okay.
driving.
All right.
Mine is definitely like a school bus, and it has like the stop sign that you put out, and so like I can pull
Yes.
over and get off the bus and like put it in park. That's the thing. Like, it's the bus isn't leaving without me. Like, we can stop.
Yeah.
Like that, just like you said, it's the spiritual burnout. Like, you're thinking that if you take a break, that you're going to miss something, and you're not, because you
No.
put the bus in park, and when you get back on it, you'll keep moving forward. You're not missing anything. Like, you need rest. And I don't know.
And that's a spiritual journey, and we each individually have that. And how long yours takes is up to you, and it's up to what you're comfortable with. I had a question on one of our videos that we posted. A woman said that she had been on her spiritual journey for like 20 plus years, and she was asking, do you think that you have to have a Kundalini awakening in order to like reach the next level of spirituality? And my answer to that was no. Like having a Kundalini awakening really doesn't change anything. It's just the way the energy shifts through your body. So it's understanding, you know, she never had one, so she didn't really know what it was. And when people talk about it, they're like, it opens this portal of blah, blah, blah. And so you think it's like this magical thing that happens, but truly it's not. It's just an energy kind of flow through your body. But all our journeys are different, you know, and where I'm at in my journey, it could take somebody else their entire life to get there. And where I'm at in my journey, like I feel like I don't know how to explain this, but I know that I have further to go, but I feel like I'm also not far from my ultimate form. Does that make sense? So like I have I have a few more lessons to learn till I get to like my ultimate form. Not that you ever stop learning. But I feel like it just happened so fast for me. And I know other people that it takes them a long, 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 long time to get there. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's whatever you can handle. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone travels at the speed that they can handle, you know, and understand. And you know, it's bringing me back to that book that I'm reading about the soul contracts. And you know, I've always read about that, or I mean, I've always heard about it and I've always talked about it, but I never really fully understood it because it's like, why do some of us go through things a little bit slower? Why do some of us have to repeat this in another life? You know, for those of you that believe that, you know, reincarnation. But literally in this book, it like maps it all out, and it's actually an amazing book. I really enjoy the book. Um, you know, because it brings all of this into light about why we travel at the pace we do, why we're where we're at, and why some souls are more advanced than other souls. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just helpful. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent right now.
Well, that's
Well,
in.
no, but I also feel like a lot of people too question, do we actually have soul contracts? Because if we do, then how do we have free will? But I view like
Mm.
in my mind, I feel like we do have both, but in the sense of you have a contract on possibly like these are the people that are going to be in your life, going to be, well,
Hmm.
gonna be.
Yeah.
And and that there are certain markers, almost like certain things that are going to happen in your life. And but the day to day, I don't feel like there's some sort of contract. I
Right.
do feel like we have free will in
Yep.
that aspect, so I feel like they both kind of,
They balance.
yeah.
Hmm. Because even though we have this put in place and we say this is what we want to accomplish or do in this next lifetime, we still have the free will to do it. You
Hmm.
know, are we going to take these lessons and everything we're learning? Are we going to remember? You know, because we need to remember on that level. And are we going to implement it now? Um, Not everyone does, you know, and that's okay because we have free will, you know?
I feel like soul contracts are a hard one for me
Yeah.
because I I don't know. It resonated to some degree, but it also resonated as bullshit to some degree, depending on who you're listening to or
Yeah.
what their ideas are about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think too much into it. You know, like
Mhm.
when Dolores Cannon says it's like a play. You come here and you say, you're gonna play the bad guy, I'm gonna be the good guy, and you like reverse it or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
no fucking way. No way do I believe that I agreed to come to Earth and be like murdered by a serial killer, you know? Like, are you fucking stupid? No. But, you know, so, but
Okay,
also
well, when you look at it that way.
on the other line, as I live my life and there are specific people that have come into my life that I'm like, mind blown. There has to be a soul contract
Yeah.
in place.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would not have played out any other way.
Exactly.
So I am a believer and a non-believer at the same time. And that's one of the things, my belief system. I'm like, I don't know where I fall with this, because if I don't know, I feel like Brandon and I, my partner and I, absolutely 1000% have a soul contract. We are meant to be together in this lifetime and to have the child and raise the child that we are raising. Like 100 million%. Our souls just are vibing. And there's no other explanation than like this was meant to be, to happen. And Kari and I finding each other when we found each other, and the way that our lives are so parallel and we lean on each other. And we're there for each other, because she will call me out on my bullshit, you know? And I try to do the same for her. And there's got to be a soul contract there. There's no way in hell, because I would not be where I'm at on my spiritual journey if I didn't have Kari show up when she showed up in my life. There's just no way that there wasn't a soul contract. Do I believe in, like I said, the other part of the soul contract? No, like we have free will. So I don't know about how that plays into it when people say, oh, I'm going to be the bad guy in this life. You have free will to not be a bad guy. You know, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm just as confused as anybody else.
We're learning as we go. And I'm sorry for moving around so much. My internet keeps going in and out. So I'm trying to find the best place that I don't keep losing you ladies. But yeah, we figure it out as we go, you know.
But we're also not meant to know everything.
No, we're not.
That
Mm-mm.
that is the piece, because yes, you just said that and it was like that was a huge thing for me recently when all of like this everything came crashing down, and that was like the epiphany that I had. Sometimes it's better not knowing, and that's where
Yeah.
life feels magical, because
Mm-hmm.
you truly just don't need to know everything, especially if you can't control it, you can't change it. I don't need to know. I just don't give me the forewarning that this is going to happen 3 months from now, because I'm just going to be stressed about it and try and change it and waste my energy, and don't tell me. So that was a huge thing for me. And I think that that was also like why I haven't fully jumped back into this, connection with spirit of talking to them every day, because there are things I don't need to know. And if there's ever some big emergency, like you have a direct line to me. Let me know so I can, drive a different route or do something different. Like keep me safe, but yeah, don't tell me every little detail of every day. It's not necessary. Sorry.
No, it's true. You
Yeah.
don't need to know everything. And we do have this
No.
insatiable like want and desire to learn. Like hope, like you guys both said that you like to learn. You want to learn. You're
Mhm.
reading these books, you're reading this book. You're
Mhm.
all dived into all these different aspects of spirituality. And I do the same thing, because I'm super into astrology and crystals and like all the things. And I want to know it all. And we have this desire to want to know it all, and we think, if I level up spiritually, if I get higher spiritually, if I
Mhm.
ascend to this some godlike level like Gandhi, then I'll understand and I'll know. We're not meant to understand or know everything, and we don't need to necessarily be a Jesus on earth or a Gandhi or any of that. We're just soul having a human experience. Have your human experience, because sometimes you get so caught up spiritually that you forget to be a human. And you got to come back down to earth at some point and
Oh
be.
no, I kind of would rather have my spiritual experience. I kind of would like to just like kind of be in that world all the time and just kind of, be like, all right, I'm a human. I did that for a few years. Now we're gonna tap out and I'm gonna totally go over here and be Gandhi, okay?
We all want that, but
I
it's not
know.
reality.
I'm kidding, kind of.
I don't want to be human and like pay my bills and stuff. If someone
Mm-mm.
could just like take care of that for me, that would be great. But I guess if I was supposed to be spiritual and in that mindset 24/7, I wouldn't be a human, right? Like I would still be just a soul chilling,
Oh,
living
that's
life.
true.
Like, like I wouldn't be here going through this stuff and learning lessons and I don't know, letting my soul evolve. Is that what I'm doing? I don't know,
Hmm.
but
You are.
so, yeah.
We're like Pokemon evolving.
We
Such
are. We're all evolving.
I'm such
We're
a nerd.
getting new powers.
Yeah, leveling up, getting new powers. My Pokemon evolving. I'm such a nerd. But that's part of the like just bringing it all back around, I guess, full circle
Hmm.
here. The uh, reassessing your belief systems, the disconnection from spirit, the spiritual burnout. It's all part of the journey because that is the part where like you're brought back like a slingshot before you move forward. Um,
Hmm.
so it's all natural. It's all part of it, and it's going to look different. The different levels of spirituality that you get to. Um, just know that it's all totally normal and you can evolve
Hmm.
and you can level up. You don't have to be Gandhi or Jesus. Just accept that, being spiritual in the spiritual realm is magical. It's fun. It's phenomenal. I want to live there all the time too, but you can't. And you do have to come back and be a human and reassess your life, and learn how to balance the two so that you can bring the spirituality into your human life and still listen to your intuition and get the guidance
Hmm.
when it's necessary to understand when you're being roadblocked and why you're being pushed to this side. And hindsight is 2020. When shit falls apart, it sucks, and do what you have to do. I feel like just again throw a fit, and sometimes I'm very disrespectful, and I apologize for that afterwards. But you'll come soon to find out that this is how it works. This is how you're being roadblocked and redirected. That you're still driving the bus. You still have free will, but spirit is also making sure that you're going where the direction you need to be going in. Yeah. And when you're in it, when you're in the shit, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear it. So if you're going through it right now and you want to just like, shut up, Roxanne, you don't know shit. I hear you. I hear you. But you can come back in a month or two and say, you know what, that makes perfect sense now.
Yeah. And take a deep breath. And at the end of the day, have fun. You know,
You make it
just
sound so easy. Just
have
have
fun.
fun.
Just like, because I think in the midst of all of this, we forget to just have fun. We forget to just be.
Mhm.
And, it's like, just have fun. And that takes me into like, I don't know, this is like off on a tangent, but I think of my grandma at 88 years old in 2012 when she passed away. And I remember sitting in her living room with her many days and just talking to her. And finally, the one day I was sitting and I was just watching her when she was in her chair. And I'm just like, when I'm 88 years old, what do I want to look back on my life and reflect on? Do I want to look back and say that I lived in fear, that I didn't really do anything with my spirituality, that I did nothing with myself? Or do I want to look back and be like, something, I gave this one hell of a ride, no matter how rough it was? And I'm like, that, I just look back on it like, how do I want to reflect on my life? But in the end, I want to know that I had fun and that I allowed myself to enjoy this. I don't
Yeah.
know. Even though it's not all enjoyable and it kind of sucks sometimes. But but there are moments, just have fun. Go out and play in the rain. Like the other day it was raining and I'm like, oh, I want to go play in the rain. Like I did when I was a kid. And I'm like, oh, that's so childish. Have those childish moments. Allow yourself to be childish. Allow yourself to yell at spirit. Allow yourself to yell at the universe. But give yourself grace because everyone is doing the best job they can do, you know?
That's exactly it, though. I think we're supposed to be childish, as you put it. And it's funny because actually, those were almost the exact words in my meditation this morning.
Really?
But it's safe to have childlike wonder again, to
Mhm.
have trust and to, want more and to look at the world like it's beautiful and magical and to
Mhm.
just see the beauty because
Mhm.
I feel like life has been hard lately. And I think that that piece of me was a little bit broken. And so it was just that reminder that it's safe to do that. It's okay. And I truly think we are all that's the hard part. I feel like we are all children inside. Like we
Mhm.
are all meant to be like childlike all the time and to have this wonder and magic, and yet we lose it when we have to be adults and pay bills and life gets stressful. But that I think that's where like the joy and the magic does come from.
Mhm.
And also just the reminder that you have to feel the shit in order to actually feel the good too. So,
Mhm.
yeah, life is hard sometimes, but without the hard moments, you don't feel the happiness and get to kind of like soak it all in and like, oh, my life is amazing. Like you don't feel those moments so intensely, I guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I can't wait to have my life is amazing moment come back because it has been shit lately. So I'm ready for that moment when it happens. I'll be like, "Ah, breathing better, you know?"
Mhm.
Okay. So did we bring it all back around talking about this
I
breakdown
think we
of
did. Yeah.
stuff? I think we did. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
if anyone has any questions,
Comment.
positive comments and questions, um, they can they can reach out. Yes, please keep all negativity at the door. Everyone goes through their own experiences. Not everyone is going to relate to everything that we are talking about or speaking of, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean it's right or wrong for any of us. So,
Take what
yeah,
resonates and leave what doesn't, right?
yeah. Take the best and leave the rest.
Yeah. Right. So thank you for joining us. We leave that with you with love and light.
Are we done recording?